How you doing, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Colin. I am the boss today because I'm here in Ireland and I'm actually staying at my friend's place, and she gave me this amazing coffee mug, the boss. So today on this episode of Coffee with Colin, I get to be the boss. And I just want to say, as the boss, I welcome you to this episode because this episode is all about health and wellness. And we are going to be talking with one of the premier health and wellness experts out there. This guy is a wealth of information when it comes to maintaining and seeking out the best ways to be healthy and well, not only just from a health and wellness perspective, but also from a mental perspective. This guy has a PhD. He's got master's degree. This guy has done a ton of research, and he just absolutely has devoted his whole life to the area in the field of health and wellness. And as someone who cares about health and wellness, I always love to have guests on here who are going to be talking about health and wellness, because as myself being a cancer survivor, and for those of you out there dealing with your own health and wellness ailments, doctors, I think we all know this, don't always tell us the information that we need in order for us to be healthy, because they've been trained in ways that they have been trained to learn how to treat us. But there are newer and more innovative ways to be able to heal the body that some of these traditional modalities, a lot of doctors, when they go to medical school, they have a tendency to stay in that mindset of learning what they learned and then just building on that. But because the way that we are innovating nowadays, we are discovering so many different things on a microscopic level and a microbiological level of what allows allows our cells to heal, and what allows our bodies to be able to be supported in creating the best health and wellness. And a lot of it has to do holistically with our mind and our perspective, the way in which we look at the world. So we're going to be talking about the psychosomatic way in which disease may manifest in the body based on our perception on our environment and based on our outlook on life. And because the body is so integrated and so connected in mind, body, and spirit, and this is what a lot of what I talk about with my speaking and with my Inspire course and my Beyond Impact, a lot of who we are, I think we forget about the different components of what makes up a human being. And for my own experience, what I have discovered and what I think has been helpful to me is to look at the body in 4 different areas of mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. And this is a way for us to be able to identify and look at these 4 different ways in which we can support ourselves in being healthier and well. And it's not just treating the physical part of who we are, it's addressing our emotional needs, our mental needs, and our spiritual needs. And tonight's guest, I'm excited to have this conversation with him because he's an expert in the field of health and wellness. And he is the CEO of CURE Pharmaceutical. And he's developed a lot of different modalities, the way in which medicines and drugs and different things are delivered to the body so that they are less invasive and so that we can live healthier and happier lives. So I'm excited to listen to what he's got to say about all of these different ways in which we can be supported in health and wellness. And for those of you out there who have health and wellness questions, feel free to ask them wherever you are coming in from, whether that's LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube. I can see all of your comments here. So feel free, if you have any questions, if you're dealing with any health and wellness ailments, let's see if we may be able to offer some insight on how to support you in whatever it is that you're dealing with. And for those of you out there, again, who are dealing with anything that you may need in terms of support with your health and wellness and your just overall well-being, I've got plenty of courses and things coming up, including my 90-day playbook, which is all about massive goal setting and creating your dream goals to be able to live a healthier and happier life. And that's starting this Wednesday. So if you're interested in getting more information about my 90-day playbook and my 90-day playbook course, which starts this Wednesday and it goes for 90 days, and it is all about intentional goal setting and putting into your daily calendar every day the things that are going to support you in mind, body, and spirit for you to be able to show up every day to be your very best in health and wellness, in relationships, in finance, in career, and all the 6 areas of life that I've essentially broken down, the components of who we are, so that you can be supported and be held accountable for the biggest things that you want to accomplish in life. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to keep my guest waiting for much longer because we've got a lot to get into. So without further ado, ladies and gents, please welcome to the stage Mr. Rob Davidson. And here he comes.
Oh, hi, how are you? Thanks for having me. Good, I'm doing great, thank you.
Awesome. Where are you coming in? Where are you joining us from today?
I'm in California. I'm in Thousand Oaks, California right now.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. How's the weather out there?
Weather's good. It's actually a little warm. It's a little unseasonably warm at this time. Yeah, but I enjoy it. It's sunny out, so I'm always happy when the sun's out. No question.
Awesome. So we're here to talk about health and wellness, and as someone who obviously has been devoting their whole life to health and wellness, you looks like you need to go to the gym. I don't think your muscles are big enough there.
I'll get there after this.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to where you're at right now as a CEO of a health and wellness company, and what you offer.
Absolutely. First of all, your intro was great. I appreciate that. And I loved the way you talked about just holistically, health and really the key factors and the 4 components that you identified. I live by that. So I love that you said that. That's great. You almost finished the show for me. So thank you. That was great.
Well, let's unpack some of that stuff.
Exactly. Right. I'm going to steal some lines from you. So, my background's in the sciences, mainly biology, chemistry. In my undergrad, my graduate degrees are in epidemiology, infectious disease, public health, and sustainable healthcare, which is really key for me. I worked in every area, in the pharmaceutical world with bioactives, APIs or active ingredients that are your typical synthetic chemistry. But as I progressed in the field and really, started 6 different companies myself and developed a multitude of products, I have about 70-something patents on drug delivery.
Wow.
So I spent a lot of time drug and nutra delivery, any type of molecule agnostic, if you will. But spent a lot of time really figuring out how do we make medicine more effective, number one, less side effects. And is medicine always the right choice, right? And as I migrated through the process and really looked at the science, and I love to read research studies. People think I'm nuts, but that's what I do all day and night. Helps me fall asleep. But, looking at that, it's obvious to me that we're not treating health or even disease. What the problem is, we're treating disease rather than preventing it, but we're not treating things the right way. The idea that one size fits all or one medication fits all, to me, is such an antiquated approach. Allopathic medicine in the US, to your point, doctors learn a certain way. And they really don't progress from that. They don't look at the nutraceuticals and the botanicals and the natural products, and natural modalities that can help. They look at, what do we treat them? Okay, they have pain, give them ibuprofen. If they have this, give them, this drug, and antibiotics for everything, even if it's a virus, which is why we have antibiotic resistance issues. So, we're just so, antiquated in our approach in healthcare. And to your point, it's morphed quite a bit, right? I mean, we've learned so much about the body, the mind, the spirit, how it all interrelates. The gut, that's your stomach, your gut actually speaks to the mind. It sends signals. We can talk about that. So the more I learned, the more I said, we're doing it wrong. Let's figure out how we can be healthy, how we take responsibility for our own health, rather than relying on, an antiquated, system to take care of our health. So that's what I look to do. I strive to create sustainable healthcare throughout the world, really, emerging markets, third world countries. We do a lot in those countries, really bring in either nutraceuticals, or even pharmaceuticals when necessary for like type 1 diabetics that can't get in.
What's a nutraceutical?
Nutraceuticals are, vitamins. It could be vitamins, it could be herbs, it could be botanicals. I'll call it, we kind of put it under that umbrella. They are different verticals in that field. But I'll give you an example. We developed a vitamin D3 product for kids, pediatric hospital, Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Came to my company and myself and asked us to deliver vitamin D3 to cancer patients, oncology patients, as well as bone marrow transplantation patients. And the problem with that, they couldn't get the patients to uptake the vitamin D. They were having trouble. They were doing feeding tubes. I mean, they were doing gavage and liquids and pills. They tried everything, injectables. They couldn't do it. We focused on how the vitamin D and how the body works. And we put together the right delivery system, and 100% of their patients got their vitamin D levels up to normal and above, which increases survival rate of that patient cohort to 100%. So if you can save kids' lives and you can do things a little differently, I'm all in, right? That's what we should be doing. So that's just one little antidote, but that's a vitamin and it's a nutraceutical. You have a nutraceutical that even the hospital realized, if we don't have this vitamin D3 and it's not getting into the body, then their immune system's attacks. And cancer patients, and you know this, Colin, chemotherapy, their body gets hit pretty hard, and their immune systems are, fighting for their life, basically. And without vitamin D, you're not rebuilding your immune system. So for us, that was a big deal. So we spent time and effort. We didn't get paid for that. We did it because it was the right thing to do. And today, to this day, they use our product for old pediatric patients in that hospital.
So is there a test that people can do to find out what minerals that they're deficient in, vitamins that they're deficient in? I've heard of, there's a genetic methylation test.
There is.
That you can take to find out genetically what you might be predisposed to or what vitamins or nutrients that you need. But is there, like, before even starting on chemotherapy or radiation or receiving any sort of treatment, and this just goes, I guess, to a deeper conversation about why are hospitals and doctors not as progressive or into looking at what patients need in order to support them in these highly toxic treatments that can, the treatment can actually cause more damage than the actual disease that they're suffering from.
Yes. Yeah. And that's so accurate. Your question is why don't they look at that and why don't they take that approach?
Yeah.
I don't blame the doctors all the time. If you look at the healthcare system in the US, what drives the healthcare system is the insurance companies, right? The insurance companies basically almost tell you exactly step by step, how do you treat a disease, or what you're allowed to do first or second or third. So I think a lot of doctors are just, operating under that and not looking at, well, wait a minute, let's think outside the box a little bit. It's not even outside the box, by the way. Vitamin D has been well known for hormone balance, for immune cell function, for many things. And there's a 40% of the population is deficient in it. I mean, that's a big deal. But there are tests, to go back to your question. There are tests. There are blood tests you can take for vitamin D, and you can check your vitamin D levels, your A levels, your B12 levels, the important vitamins that are essential to building, your immune system and really protecting yourself. I mean, COVID-19 basically put vitamin D on the map. I don't know if you remember that. Vitamin D, there's studies that show people that had severe COVID were 60% of that patient population had low vitamin D levels. I mean, that's a big deal, right? And they're the ones that had struggled. And for the most part, that was the highest morbidity rate, were patients that means death rate, patients that did not have vitamin D levels up to normal and above. That's a big deal. And that's just vitamin D. That's just one. There's so many other things we can be doing.
And is that, are we mainly getting our vitamin D from the sun? Is that how?
We are, if you want to believe that, but how many people are in their office all day with blue lights, and light breaks down certain things, sunblock on, hats and shirts, and are they really getting their vitamin D? I mean, you got to stand out in the sun with pretty much naked for 15 minutes, 20 minutes to convert it, and some people have conversion issues. So, it's not really accurate. Vitamin D supplementation, especially as we get older, you need it. You really do. For hormone balance, especially. Men, it's important for testosterone. Women, it's important for estrogen and progesterone balancing. So there's so many things we could do naturally rather than just going into allopathic medicine. No question.
So what would you say are some of the most commonly deficient minerals and vitamins that people walk around with? And can they go to the local grocery store and just buy a bottle of vitamin D pills or vitamins? And is that good enough?
That's the other frustrating issue you're tapping into. Basically, it's not enough sometimes, right? Because unfortunately, our vitamins and nutraceutical world and the regulatory on that is pretty lean. So a lot of these products don't have the levels they say they do. So you got to be really careful. You really want to try to identify a company that has FDA facility that are, certified by the FDA, maybe NSF certifications, that show that they've been validated and their products are good. Because there is a lot of product on the market that, for example, there's a study on vitamin D products. Go back to vitamin D, and I'd say over 85% of those vitamin D products did not have the levels they say they had in them, so because of degradation or whatever on the shelf. But to be honest, it's not always the best way to go, just to go into a vitamin shop without knowing. So I always tell people, empower yourself. Health is your responsibility. Take responsibility for your health before you get sick, right? And if you can do that, including if you feel you're deficient, go get a blood test. And if your vitamin D levels are deficient, do the research on what the best vitamin D product out there is, right? Do the research yourself, because if you're relying on other people, if you're relying on ads and marketing, I think it's a slippery slope. So,
are there any like really good neutral informational websites that you could recommend for us to go to for this kind of information?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I go to Google Scholar, to be honest. Google Scholar is great. And if you want to look up studies, or you want to look up, studies on a specific ingredient or product, it's a great way to go. I mean, you'll get a lot of research, you'll see the studies, and you can do a deep dive yourself. And you don't have to be a scientist. You can read the conclusions if you want. You can do, you don't have to read the whole paper. I get that it's cumbersome, but it is your health, right? And you know this. When you get sick, that's not the time you want to start diving into the issues. You want to know ahead of time how to take care of yourself.
Yeah. Would you say that there's like a certain number of vitamins or minerals that we are deficient in? I've heard magnesium is one that we are chronically deficient in.
Yes. B12, B complex is a lot because of the foods. The foods are processed. Don't eat processed foods, number one. But foods are processed. Try not to eat processed food. Try to eat healthy. That's important, really, too. It really is. I say don't take a multivitamin, because they really are a waste, to be honest. And new studies that just came out prove that out. I don't know if you know that or if you read those, but they are a waste. You don't need to take a multi. As we get older, especially, you want to look at vitamins that start to decrease with age, and vitamin D, your vitamin A, your complex, your B12. Those are all important vitamins, really important. K, vitamin K for vitamin D absorption is always good. So there's lots of different, products out there in the market that offer that and that are quality products. But there's also the other side of that, where there's, products out there that are not so good. So you just got to be really, really cautious when you're buying it.
And you are the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, right?
I am. Yes, absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about what are the drugs that you manufacture and what are they used for?
Sure, absolutely. So we do a lot of nutraceuticals as well. So it's not just pharmaceuticals. I consider vitamins and nutraceuticals molecules just like anything. Molecule does not know. Vitamin D molecule versus a ibuprofen molecule doesn't know whether it's a nutraceutical or a drug. It has no idea. It's a molecule. So molecules have functionality in the body, just like food does. Food is a drug as well, if you really want to think about it. So any molecule works in a specific way. So we do vitamins, we deliver pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceuticals we play with are really for people that really need treatment. I think that's the last resort, but I'll give you an example. I touched on insulin earlier. We're working on an insulin project right now to deliver it more effectively without the need for injectables and without the need for cold chain distribution, because a lot of countries in third world countries, emerging markets, really have trouble with that. They don't like injectables, and they don't have them, and they don't have cold chain distribution. And insulin needs to be cold chain distributed, which means a lot of people are not getting insulin, and they're dying from diabetes, specifically type 1 diabetes. I mean, if you're really, type 2, I think you can reverse, by the way, with the right foods and healthy exercise. Type 2 is reversible. Type 1, not so much. Type 1, you can't. You're born with that. That's a genetic issue with the pancreas, and you're not secreting insulin, so that is a problem. You're not manufacturing insulin. So insulin's a big deal for us. That's really one of the top projects that we're working on. We're also working on a protein-based, not an mRNA, so don't get nervous, but it's an oral delivery that acts like a vaccine. It's not a vaccine. It actually, it's a protein that helps induce antibodies against hepatitis B. And hepatitis B is very prevalent in Africa and in emerging markets. And again, our focus in CURE Pharmaceutical is really social impact initiatives, treating people that normally are just underserved. I mean, no one cares about them because there's not enough money. Big pharma only cares about what makes them money. And I know this because I've been in the pharmaceutical world. I can tell you that. So our goal is not that. We're anti-big pharma in a sense, so.
And so as the CEO of a drug company, who sets the price for the medicine? Is it the drug company or is it the insurance company?
Yeah. So that's a great question. Drug company does, and the insurance company will either validate it or not, and either bring it down or up. Again, drug companies, the pricing on drugs and pharmaceuticals are high, Colin, not only because they're trying to make a profit, they're making a lot of money, but it's also because the robust regulatory climate and all the studies they have to do. It's very expensive. Then on top of that, you have liability, issues. So they cushion it for that. I mean, there's so many issues with it. Again, that goes back to the antiquated approach of one molecule, one medicine fits all. It doesn't. One medicine does not fit all. One dose doesn't fit all. And you're going to see, I think, in the next 10 years, personalized medicine coming to the forefront, because that's really what it should be. And it should be really personalized health, not personalized medicine. Medicine should be the last resort. It really should. And you know this. I mean, you can take care of yourself. You can eat right. You can exercise. Keep lean muscle mass on, higher than fat, obviously. Lean muscle, as we get older, we lose it over 45 years old. You're losing, up to 5% a year if you're not working out. That's a big issue. And I can tell you there's some great supplements for that. HMB, leucine, HMB are two top supplements to take to keep lean muscle mass on. For both men and women. HMB, yeah, it's an amino acid complex. Great studies on it. We're working on that as well. You see a lot of people, unfortunately, who are overweight on GLP-1 products. Do you know what that is? GLP-1, Ozempic, semaglutide. Wegovy, all those. The problem with that is they're losing more muscle than they are losing fat at the end. And by the time they come off of these products, right, they do lose weight. It does help them with diabetes and sugar levels and things like that. But when they come off, their lean muscle mass is low. And what happens is now you just dropped somebody who had already trouble with their metabolic rate. You just made it worse when they come off, because lean muscle is directly related to your basal metabolic rate, your how you process and how you burn fat. So now you really just created the opposite of what you really wanted to create in the end point. So unfortunately, there's no exit ramp for these people. So we're coming up with a natural product line that does help with that. And HMB is a key for that too, by the way. That's, again, take HMB if you're on any of that product, the Ozempics or the semaglutides or any of those GLP-1 products. There's also natural ways to create expression of GLP-1 and have the similar effect. And that is, probiotics and prebiotics. There's specific types that actually the brain gets signaled from the gut and back to the gut, and basically you increase GLP-1 expression naturally. And there's a lot of products that can do that, ingredients. So a doctor should probably try those before they throw somebody on, one of these products. And you see there's a shortage because everybody wants that magic bullet. But, health is not a magic bullet. It's a lifestyle. Yeah,
I've heard a statistic, and I read this recently. I don't know if this is 100% true, but it said essentially 80% of losing weight has to do with diet and only 20% has to do with working out. Would you?
Absolutely agree with that. I'd probably say it this way. 90% has to do with diet. It really is what you eat, because you work out, you do have to feed the body the right way. when you work out. If you want to increase lean muscle mass, if you want to increase metabolism, it's also how you eat, when you eat. There's multiple factors that come into play, but that is a big deal. It's a very big deal, and people don't really get that. They think cardio for an hour is going to burn all the fat and burn the food. Actually, that's the worst thing you can do if you want to lose weight. Your body goes into a certain mode and actually stores more fat. You're burning muscle if you're doing that. And I'll give you an example. You'll like this. Marathon runner's body versus sprinter's body. Who has more muscular body?
Sprinter.
Right. And that's because they do short burst exercises really fast, and they're using their muscles a certain way that keeps their metabolic rate up and increases it high all day. Versus a marathon runner or somebody that runs a treadmill for an hour. If I sprint for 20 minutes, I'll keep my metabolism up higher than you if you're running an hour on a treadmill. It makes no sense to do that. So I'm burning more than you are all day. It lasts throughout the day, and that's a nice thing. So people are working out the wrong ways. Everything you've learned about working out, probably I'd say half of it's wrong. There's ways to do it without killing yourself. I spend 20 minutes a day in the gym working out. That's my max. If I go over, I'm upset. That's it. 20 minutes a day workout. Yeah, absolutely. But I work out like a sprinter. So
what exercises are you doing?
I do a lot of body exercises, push-ups. We'll do some types of dips. I bought believe it or not, the Tonal is a great machine. If you want to have something in your house, it's amazing. You can work out, do eccentric exercises and concentric, which are contraction, intervals. And basically it attacks the muscle quick and make sure that you're working out appropriately and right form and stuff like that, because that's important. I would say as you get older, lifting weights is more important than walking on a treadmill. Now, walking is important and moving is important, but lean muscle mass, and there's some great studies on this, lean muscle mass is directly correlates with lifespan, and it directly correlates with disease, right? So the more fat you have, the more inflammation you have in the body. That's another whole thing. That's probably another hour to talk about inflammation. But yeah, so I would suggest if you want to be healthy, start lifting weights. That's the most important thing. Yeah, and you don't have to lift heavy. Lift light. I lift very light. People think I lift heavy. I don't lift heavy at all. I lift light and I do high reps, but I don't rest in between the sets. Like I said, I work out like a sprinter, and that's the key.
And what I love about lifting weights too is it boosts testosterone and I believe estrogen in women. Is it?
It does. Well, it balances it, right? It balances estrogen. Women need testosterone too, by the way, because they do have testosterone in their bodies. But yeah, it balances the hormones very well. Yeah.
For some of our viewers out there, again, if you have any questions, feel free to type into the chat. Elizabeth Krause is saying that she's chronically low in vitamin D. For someone like that, or she has a hard time absorbing it. Yeah. Who would she go to talk to about this? Would that be a nutritionist? Would that be like who do you talk to about being able to deal with this thing?
Yeah, it's really difficult to, nutritionists are good. They know certain things. You got to find a doctor that understands, wellness and holistic wellness. And there are doctors out there that do. They stay up to date on things. A doctor's you always want to talk to a doctor about that. But I get that. That's a big problem, by the way. Vitamin D, really keeping vitamin D absorbed in the body. Vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. So if you are deficient, you can always do a very high dose once a week. And once you get over a 6 to 7 week period of high dose vitamin D, basically your levels will go normal and above because it is a fat soluble. So basically what it does is it depots in the body fat. And basically it leaches out over time. So you're keeping it in the system, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's something we do too, Colin. We have, not touting our products because I don't like selling products, but we have a vitamin D3 once a week dose that we did for the kids, the Children's Hospital that they use at the hospital. And we do have brands that sell it for us. So
what are those brands?
Yeah, there's Sera Labs is one of the brands that does it.
Sarah, how do you spell that?
SERA.
Sarah
Yeah,
Labs.
yeah. I think you can go online and buy the vitamin D3 there. They have a once a week dose. It's phenomenal. Kids like it, adults like it. It's easy. It dissolves. It tastes like strawberry. It's a little film like a Listerine strip,
Oh,
but
wow.
it has technology in it, and it actually absorbs in the fat more effectively than a pill. Why don't pills work? Most of the time, pills get degraded in the gut. The acids, they get cleaved, they get beat up pretty bad. And then by the time they get past the gut, then they go into the liver and get cleared out even more. Why? The liver's a filtering system, right? You need that. So by the time it gets into the blood, you're not getting the dose you think you are. And that's true with a lot of vitamins. So that's why we try to deliver it more effectively.
Laureen Alderson. How you doing, Laureen? Thanks for your question. She's asking, how are statins working in our bodies? And is there a natural statin?
That's a great question. Because some people do have genetic predisposition for high cholesterol. Exactly. So statins limit the fat absorption and the basic, uptake of those, your lower, lipids, right? So LDLs. So that's how it does it. Pretty much inhibits it. But there's other issues with statins too. So you gotta be careful with muscle cramping, muscle issues. Have your blood work tested for liver. I would do that if you're on statins every 3 months. I would test it, to be honest, because for at least the first 2 years, just to see if there's any abnormalities. But there is natural statins, and that have studies on it. Big case on the pharma side on this. In fact, it was a natural ingredient that was stolen by big pharma and then converted into the products that you guys know, such as, like, for example, just an example, like a Lipitor, red rice yeast extract. Red rice yeast extract, if it's the right ones, and it really is the product, and that's, again, you got to really make sure you're getting the right product. Acts as a natural statin. It is a natural statin. In fact, the molecules are exactly the same. Only one's natural and the other one's synthetic.
Wow.
And that's true of. If you were to look at it, that's true of 80% of the pharmaceuticals out there. You realize that most of pharmaceutical medicine was created by botanicals, basically matching botanicals and synthesizing them. And one of the reasons they do that, and they don't want to tout the natural, is you don't make money unless you patent the technology, right? And natural products are not patentable. Not to get too, into it, but it's true. And there are lots of natural products that work just as well, and sometimes better, than the pharmaceutical medications.
Yeah, I also heard turmeric was a good.
Turmeric is great. Well, yeah, turmeric's good. It doesn't work as a statin. It has a different mechanism. It's an anti-inflammatory, but it also works on cholesterol as well. So it does lower cholesterol. But specific to statin function, that those work a little bit differently. But there's multiple mechanisms of actions that you can attack cholesterol with, right? It's not just one.
And your company created, is it pronounced Zicam or Zcam?
We did the delivery system. Again, we do delivery systems. We don't create the molecules, but we developed the delivery system and the brand way back when. This was 20-something years ago for Zicam, the brand. Yes, and that was a natural product that helped limit the rhinovirus and help block the cold. Utilizing different form of zinc. And then we also did some natural allergy medications and some others. But it was a nasal delivery system that we developed in a gel that was mucoadhesive, and it kept it in the nasal area, so it didn't come out, number one, but also delivered more effectively. So
is that for like hay fever and allergies?
We did something. Yeah, we have an allergy one. I mean, if you look at the brand, it has 25 different SKUs to the brand. Church and Dwight currently owns the product.
Okay.
Yeah.
This may be controversial, and it obviously is when it comes to vaccines.
Yeah.
A degree in biology. I was planning on going to medical school, so I've taken immunology and biology and biochemistry, and there is definitely science that shows that vaccines work.
Right.
Why has I mean, I understand why people don't like being told what to do, and that they want to be able to put into their bodies whatever they feel is the best for their bodies, which I totally understand.
Yeah.
I guess the question is, where did we go sideways and start questioning the science of vaccines? And with these COVID vaccines, is your opinion that they actually work, or and are they? I know some of them aren't necessarily traditional vaccines because now we're starting to get into the mRNA, where you're actually genetically modifying.
Right.
Um, and I'm not sure if we're genetically modifying our own DNA. And then you start getting these these crazy stories that microchips are being implanted into our bodies from these
Yeah,
vaccines.
yeah, yeah.
Can you tell us what your opinion is on vaccines, and were the vaccines that we were told we were supposed to get, are they dangerous? Do they work? Is this just a big money grab by the drug companies? What's your opinion on all that?
That is a loaded question. I just want to put that out there, but I'm going to answer it. I'm going to answer it because that's okay. I like
We
that.
probably both will get shut down by
Yeah,
Facebook.
exactly.
Talking
No, I
about
actually like that question. So, all vaccines, all medicine have side effects, right? That's known. I mean, there's no question. You can't know what the side effect is until it's out there in millions of people, to be honest, which is unfortunate. There's no real way to know that. That being said, I do think it was rushed pretty fast. I think that's one of the issues that people have, right, with the vaccines. And they came out with that pretty fast, so faster than I've ever seen anything. I'm not saying they did it and there was any malfeasance there. However, I do think they rushed it. And I do think just the nature, if you understand the coronavirus, like you understand the flu virus, influenza, right? It changes every year, as we know, right? It
yeah,
morphs. This virus, coronavirus, is more faster than flu viruses because they're not really seasonal, so to speak. They're around all the time. And most coronaviruses are not that deadly, or that they're really just a cold. That's all they are.
okay,
This one happened to be extremely virulent and extremely dangerous in the beginning. But viruses morph because they want to survive. Viruses can only spread if the host survives. If the host doesn't survive, virus fails, right? That we've seen this in SARS. We've seen this in many, many different viruses. If it kills the host, eventually it's just not going to be a pandemic because it doesn't survive. So knowing the way that virus works and knowing that it's going to change rapidly, I think that we were hopeful, maybe, I'm trying to be nice, hopeful that the vaccines would work continuously and it would be a constant. But the honest truth is, people who got the vaccines, originally they said, you're not going to get it if you get the vaccines. It's going to protect you. Then they say, oh, well, you're going to get it, but it's mild. They kept changing their story. And I think that you lose credibility when you do that, right? I mean,
yeah,
they constantly change. There's no side effects. It's extremely safe. Well, we saw the cardiomyopathies and other issues with it. There are side effects. There's side effects with everything. If I drink 20 gallons of water today, I'm going to die of hyponatremia. So there's side effects with everything. But it wasn't disclosed. I think they weren't as transparent. And then they were forced to take the vaccine. You can't travel. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't. So, when did that happen? Healthcare is a right. It's a freedom. And we should be able to take care of our bodies the way we want to. And I do believe in that wholeheartedly. I do think that was overreaching and overstepping in the medical world, medical community. And I don't want to be too controversial, but there were other products and there were actually drugs out there that did help with the virus, that the vaccine wasn't needed. And they were ostracized for doctors that I worked with were, deemed crazy
yeah,
because of it. And FDA came out, late in the game, like recently, saying, well, wait a minute, those drugs were effective and they should be part of the protocol. So that you lose credibility when that happens. You really
yeah.
do. So was it a profit grab? I think everything big pharma does is a profit grab for the most part. I do. I don't think they have everyone's health at, best health at interest. I really believe that, unfortunately. And I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the shareholders that expect that. They expect profits and dividends every quarter, right? What are you gonna do? Oh, well, we just sent millions or hundreds of millions of vaccines for free. No, they're not gonna. Your share price goes down, the company fails, and that's it. So unfortunately, that's where we fail in healthcare.
And do these mRNA vaccines actually change our own DNA?
There's some studies and that show potentially it doesn't change your DNA per se, but it definitely can change certain things in the body, like your heart tissue and lung tissue and things like that. But I don't, there's nothing definitive on that, to be honest. And were they microchipping us? Probably not. I don't believe that. But yeah, I do believe they came out fast with the vaccines.
Yeah.
And the mandates to me were probably overreaching because they didn't have enough data points. They really didn't. You can't say it's safe until it's out there and you had these robust studies, which they really failed on that. And they had some knowledge that there were side effects that were not disclosed. So these are all the reasons why people are skeptical, and they should be. You should question science. You should question everything. You really should.
Yeah.
Because science is everything we don't know, right? It really is. You look at grounding and frequency treatments, and you talked about the psychosomatic components and things like that are very effective, we're just learning about now. So there's so much we don't know. And that's the problem with, we are so focused on our antiquated approach because we built a healthcare system that doesn't work in a sense. It works, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's the problem,
And so just from an overall perspective of how to maintain best health and wellness nowadays, what do you do in terms of talking about that psychosomatic wellness, in terms of your mental outlook on life and how it manifests in the body? What do you do? What are some of your health and wellness hacks that you do in terms of maintaining and balancing your well-being and stress levels? Do you meditate? Do you do yoga?
I don't meditate per se the way you would think of meditation, but I do try to. I'm outside a lot. I take walks. I go outside a lot, and I just try to be one with the environment outside. To me, that's my meditation. And then I bring my little dog around most of the time with me. She keeps me healthy mentally, keeps my attitude positive. But I work out in the mornings. I get up early. I keep a routine, and I think that's key. Your routine, how you sleep, when you sleep, your workout routine. Even when I travel, I stay on that routine. I really don't deviate from it, because it's a lifestyle now. I enjoy it. If I don't do it, I'm like I'm missing something. And that's true. If you could stay with something for a while, it becomes that habit, right? And that's kind of what happens to me. Grounding, something very interesting. You know what grounding is at all, Colin?
Yeah, like take your shoes and socks off and standing on like grass.
Why not? It basically creates a neutral charge, which makes sense. So you're basically, allowing your own body frequencies, right, to work and to rebuild, rather than just having shoes on, or you're walking on floors and carpets that creates static charge. The body, and this is true, works off of frequencies. There's no question about it. Cellular frequency, everything works off of frequencies. And that has a big, play in your health. And people don't realize that. There's some great studies on frequency treatments now. You've seen even the music you listen to, and your environment you surround yourself with. That all has an effect on your health. It really does. So, I love life. I love what I do. I think that's another important thing. I mean, if you don't love what you do, find something that you do. I mean, don't do it for the money, because can't bring it with you, right?
Yeah, exactly. At my health and wellness retreats that I've done, I've had the two that I've done, we've done sound bowl healing.
Okay, yeah.
Sound bowl healing practitioner. And it's just so relaxing. It's like you can feel the physical, your body resonating with the frequency of the bowls when she's like rubbing them around. And there's studies that you can go on YouTube and show that they'll play different music and different frequencies, and they pour sand onto a vibrating plate, and the sand will orient in a certain pattern based on the sound and the frequency that is affecting it.
It's like the ICE study. I don't know if you're familiar with the ICE study, where they played hard rock music, and as the ice was falling, and then they played classical, and the classical had this beautiful rounded symmetrical flakes in it, and the hard rock music or whatever they were playing
Yeah.
was very rigid and rough and just not symmetrical. And,
Yeah.
it's a frequency thing. It really is. It's pretty amazing what it can do. But I'm a big believer in that as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like when you grow up in an environment where there's yelling and chaos and just negative energy, it literally has a physical effect on your body and your ability to be able to, especially with little kids, if they're constantly growing up in an environment where they're being yelled at and being in a stressful environment, to be able to then go to school and expect them to be able to learn is, I mean, it's putting them behind the eight ball.
I agree. Absolutely. You really are. I mean, look, mentally, physically, emotionally, and then your spirit, right? You're sucking the spirit out of them. I like to say, as I got older, I learned not to work with or deal with what I call energy vampires, right? Energy vampires will suck the life out of you. People that always are wanting something and not giving that like energy back. And you could feel it. I don't know if you can. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think you
definitely.
can because you're very in touch with that. You feel it, right? I mean, right away, I can only be in a room 5 minutes with that person or I'm going to just die of negativity here. So,
Yeah.
I try to surround myself with, energy neutral or givers, right? I mean, because that's where you bounce things off and that's where creativity happens. That's where your emotional aspects come to light. I mean, it's so colorful, so that's to me, one of the most important things.
Is there, in your opinion, a scientific basis to the term introvert and extrovert?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think a lot has to do with environment, to be honest. If you're asking why it happens, or are you
Yeah,
asking?
some people are just naturally introverted. I tend to skew more on the introverted side where
Yeah,
loud noises and too much stimulation just
yeah,
overwhelms me where I can't I almost like short circuit where some people thrive on
yeah,
energy conversation and love to talk and thrive and feed off of the energy of other people. And that's where some people can be viewed as energy vampires because they need that.
right.
Is there any sort of scientific studies that have been done that explain that reason, what the difference between the two are?
I don't know. I don't, not that I know of, to be honest. So I don't want to lead you down a bad path, but I do have an opinion on that. Well, first of all, I think you're not an introvert the way you think you may be, because you're pretty outgoing. I think it depends on the person.
Extroverted introvert.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it probably depends on the energy around you too. I think a
Mm.
lot of times probably because you'll probably feel where you want to share, you want to give, and you also probably feel like, whoa, this is too much stimulus. I don't like it. I'm going to retreat a little bit. I think we all have that, by the way. I think some of us just deal with things differently. I'm probably not an introvert. I guess I could talk to anybody, but I think a lot of people, and there's times though where I'll feel that kind of extra, too much energy around me, and I want to just retreat. But some people deal with it longer than others, and some people actually, to your point, flourish off of that because they need that energy. But they're probably sometimes the ones that are not giving it back.
Yeah.
The energy vampires, yeah.
Who would you say have been some of your influential mentors in life, and what have you learned from them?
Well, there's so many. As I've been blessed to go down the path, when from startup to all the way through to where I'm today. Lots of different mentors. One of my football coaches was a great guy. My sensei, Vinny Maragula, who is an ex-Green Beret, 3 tours of Vietnam. I studied jiu-jitsu for many years. I was lucky enough; he lived close to me, and he was a great mentor, great inspiration, just a great person, very giving. He would give the shirt off his back to anybody that walked in the place that needed it. So that was inspiring to me. He was always do good to do well, and that was really important. And then my dad, probably, I would say, would be one of them as well. He served in the military. He worked NYPD. But growing up, I grew up on Long Island, and growing up, we had about 1,000 square foot house with about maybe 13 people living in it with one bathroom. So definitely learn how to manage your time. That's why I used to wake up early. But because he took people in, It wasn't even family. I mean, it was just he would take people in that needed places to stay, and that was an inspiration to me. And yeah, and luckily he's still alive, so I still get to learn from him and talk to him. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
In terms of some of the challenges you've faced in life, what would you say is some of, like, maybe one or two of the biggest challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So when I was younger, I was 18, 19 actually, and I got Lyme disease. Did not know I had Lyme disease. It was a challenge because I was going to college, trying to go to college. I was cutting lawns and doing odd jobs to pay for college, and it knocked me out. I mean, I was doing marathons and triathlons at the time, and I was training in the Hamptons, if you know the Hamptons, and it was beach area, wooded area. And I was training out there, staying out there, and I guess I got bit by a tick. And it affected me physically, mentally, in my heart. I had cardiac issues. I had lots of problems from the Lyme disease, and did not know what it was, because back then I was one of the first patients. I was like patient number 50. It was discovered in Lyme, Connecticut. This it's a bacteria from a tick. So yeah, so I had that. It was tough. I want to give up in a sense. Because I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. So then I started to really dig into health and wellness at that time. I was studying biology, but wasn't sure what I wanted to do, what path. And I started looking at, alternative ways to treat myself. And then I came across a doctor who was a DO, a doctor of osteopathic medicine, and more on the holistic side. And we just chatted, and he was the one that discovered I had Lyme disease. I didn't know what I had, so I went to 10 doctors. No one knew what I had. And then he discovered I had Lyme disease because he spent an hour with me asking my history, which was pretty amazing. Doctors don't do that today. And we both worked together on my treatment, and I came up with some, interesting alternative medications and herbs, and I was able to, treat the Lyme disease with that, which was amazing, because I was bedridden for 6 months, and that was a tough time for me. So,
wow. So if anyone has any questions or would like to connect with you in order to potentially talk about Lyme disease or any other health and wellness ailments out there, they can connect with you at official Rob Davidson on Instagram, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be doing some wellness reels. So, giving information. I want to help educate people. I mean, to take control of your health, right? So you'll see, we'll be launching it. It's launched, but you'll be seeing, we'll have posts on different, sleep is a topic, or, weight loss, or whatever you want to learn. And then you can definitely reach out to me, and I'd be happy to chat. I mean, why not? I mean, we're here to help each other. So absolutely.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to Lyme disease. The fact that
absolutely. Yeah. Chat with me on that. I had a secondary complication from Lyme disease, which was Crohn's disease. And I had to correlate that, and I had to deal with that too. So it was a rough few years for me.
Wow.
But I got through it, and I learned a lot, and it actually, for the most part, steered me in the direction that I am today. So I'm thankful for having to go through that, to be honest, because I think this, you've struggled, you had cancer, and you went through it, and I guarantee you came out a lot stronger and more informed than you ever were before.
Definitely.
So if you can let these things be learning experiences and really truly learn from it, rather than say, woe is me, the negative, bring that positive aspect out, that's healing in itself. It really is.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, Rob, I feel like we could chat for another couple hours on this stuff.
Likewise.
I love it, and I appreciate your time being here. Are you ready to answer some movie questions for us?
I am, actually. Yeah, absolutely. Don't make fun of my picks, though. All right. Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So
I'm going to age myself too by saying some of the movies, but okay.
Oh, that's all right. We're all getting up there. But first question is, what is your favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time. So I kind of have three because it goes across the different genres. But if I had to pick the one that really got me into movies and excited about kind of thrillers, was Psycho. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. To me, an amazing movie. I mean, just the little things he did in that movie just as a director, and just it was just so scared the hell out of me, by the way, but it was good. It was good. It was
Yeah.
my favorites. Yeah.
Alfred Hitchcock,
Yeah.
definitely an amazing storyteller.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, yeah, to this day. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What was your favorite movie growing up as a kid?
Well, growing up on Long Island, I was at the beaches all the time. I love swimming. Not a surfer, but I was a pretty good swimmer. Now I sink like a brick. I think I have too much muscle mass, but I sink. But Jaws. Jaws is one of my favorite movies growing up. Another one that scared me. I remember my grandmother took me to the movie. She tried to cover my eyes when the lady was swimming on top because you could see her, breast. But that was probably one of the best movies when I was a kid. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. There's a whole story that I talk about in my book, Agile Artist, about Jaws and Steven Spielberg. He was 26 years old when he got hired to film that movie, and put the shark together in a freshwater pool in LA, and then they brought it out to Massachusetts, and the salt water corroded the wires and
that story,
and so they just experienced all kinds of shooting technicalities and difficulties, where it ended up turning Steven's movie into he actually asked the question, what kind of movie would Alfred Hitchcock tell? And that was his reframing of the perspective of how to tell a shark movie about a shark, where the shark doesn't even appear until 80 minutes into the movie, and it ended up being a better movie than it would have been had they shown this rubberized shark from the very beginning.
Right. It was ahead of its time too, just how he directed it and just the approach, and to me, the relationship of the three on the boat was just amazing. I could watch that movie over and over to this day. I thought it was an amazing movie. Yeah.
What's your favorite romantic comedy or romance movie?
Honestly, my favorite's The Proposal.
The Proposal. Okay.
Yeah, it really was. It was good. Sandra Bullock, right? Yeah. Betty White is a favorite of mine, by the way. So she was amazing in that. And I just like that it was romantic, but it was funny, right? So it was a good, because life's not this. Look, a lot of romantic movies, that's Hollywood. It doesn't happen that way. The Proposal, I can see that actually happening, right? To me, that's why it was a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Great recommendation. What's your favorite comedy of all time?
My favorite comedy of all time. So this is gonna age me a bit, but I don't know why, because maybe when I was a kid, I just enjoyed it. It was just funny. It was intelligent, but slapsticky. Airplane. Airplane was one of my favorite comedies of all time. Yeah. You can't do half of that today, by the way. No. You would not delay. You'd be in trouble. But I thought it was great.
Surely you're joking.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar being up there as a pilot was pretty funny.
Oh my God. That just
one of the fun. I mean, every line just funny as heck.
Yeah. Who's your favorite actor or male character in a movie?
So in a movie, Bradley Cooper, Star is Born. That guy's range to me is amazing. It's unfounded just his range. He could play almost anything. I thought he was amazing in that movie. I thought the movie was amazing, by the way. Yeah. He had a great, actress to work with. I mean, she was amazing. Yeah. So Lady Gaga, I don't think she gets enough credit, but she was amazing in that movie. Not only does she have a great voice, but she's a great actress.
Great Oscar acceptance speech as well.
Yes, absolutely. Great Oscar. Yeah.
And lastly, who's your favorite actress or female character?
That's a tough one too. Well, Betty White's one of my favorite people ever. She just cracks me up, and she was amazing, and she lived her life on her terms. And to me, we can learn a lot from her. Right? She's just an amazing lady. Sofia Vergara, I think, is one of my favorite actresses. I wouldn't have said that, but I watched the TV. It's a series, so it's not a movie. Don't yell at me. But the Griselda, have you watched that? Griselda?
No.
She plays this drug. She plays this drug lord. She runs a cartel basically, and she was phenomenal in it. Her range. It showed me her range. I thought she was Modern Family only, and that's where she would go. But this was a great. I would recommend it to the viewers. That's a great series. I think it was on Netflix. Don't quote me on that, but with all the streaming channels, I don't remember. But really, she was amazing. You got to watch that. She was really,
Okay.
you wouldn't even know it's her.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the recommendation.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, I appreciate your time and your insight and your generosity.
Likewise.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
And last question I like to ask my guests before they take off is, what's something in life that inspires you?
What inspires me?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. A lot of things, but I would say, my family inspires me the most because they're always there for me. Yeah, I'd say that. Mm-hmm.
Great answer. Can't beat that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Rob, again, thanks for your time. And
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
anyone out there who wants to connect with Rob, you can do so on Instagram at official Rob Davidson. And have a great rest of your night, my friends. Next time I'm in California, I'll have to let you know.
Absolutely. Safe travels.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Take care. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight, and thanks for your contribution with your questions. And again, if you want to reach out to Rob, you can do so at official Rob Davidson. And man, a lot of nuggets of gold here, and a lot of health and wellness tips, including the things that he was talking about. After 45 years of age, we start to reduce our muscle mass by 5% every year. So make sure you are getting in the gym and you are lifting weights. We need resistance training in order for us to stay healthy. And also, it strengthens your bones as well, because as we get older, we start to lose our bone density. So weight training is definitely it. 80 to 90% of our weight loss and well-being has to do with what we eat. So be careful and I would say be careful, be aware about what you put into your body. Whatever you're eating, try to make it more so whole foods. I've been trying to do this cleanse now for a while. It's been a little difficult with my traveling, but just eating whole foods, fruits, vegetables, meats that are not processed, and staying away from breads definitely has led to my just naturally losing weight. And it's incredible. It increases your energy levels, and it just allows you to be able to do more of the things that you want to be doing. And it's okay to have that occasional donut that is in the teacher's office or in the work office, wherever it is. But just life is all about balance, and that also has to do with wellness and outlook in life. And so again, I'm starting this Wednesday an opportunity for you to jump into doing something that will help create balance in your life, in mind, body, and spirit, by joining my 90-day playbook Big Dream Challenge. And you can go check that out on my Instagram. And also you can check out everything that I'm doing on my website, ColinEgglesfield.com. And in this 90-day challenge, we're going to be doing 90 days where every Wednesday we are going to be meeting up at 8:30 in the morning Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern time. We're going to be doing a half hour. It's going to be quick. It's going to be intentional. And it's going to be an opportunity for you to be able to set your week and set your goals for that week, so that the next week when we show up, we can talk about our breakthroughs, our breakdowns, our wins, our losses. And so you'll have this support group to be able to support you in fulfilling on these big dreams. And whether that's losing weight, whether that's to travel or to start a business or start your own podcast, just like this one. And for those of you out there who are looking to get more comfortable and confident in front of audiences, I have my Beyond Impact Masterclass in Communication coming up as well. And this one is designed and geared towards all you introverts out there. And that's why I asked Rob tonight about his opinion on introverts and extroverts. And introverts tend to be more shy when it comes to getting up in front of audiences, because we tend to be more empathetic and we sense and feel things, I feel, perhaps a deeper level than maybe extroverts do. Now, I'm speaking just from my personal experience, but for those of you out there who sense that you just tend to get more nervous and it's hard for you to be able to get up in front of people because of social anxiety or just whatever it is that triggers you and feeling like that you can't get up and deliver a message, this is going to be definitely something you're going to want to check out, because it is all the things that I've learned from my acting training, from my life coaching, and from my personal and professional development classes that I've taken to overcome my own fear of public speaking. So definitely check that out. You can check that out on my website, or you can go to beyondimpactmastery.com. And then lastly, I just want to say a huge thank you to Sang Coffee. Again, if you guys haven't tried Sang Coffee, you can check it out at eatdrinksang.com. It is some of the best coffee I've ever tried. It is Vietnamese coffee with a little twist. So there's some amazing flavors that they have. And I had the CEO and founder of Sang Coffee on Coffee with Colin not too long ago. It was an amazing episode, and I would highly encourage you guys to go check out Sang Coffee. It is one of my favorites, and I swear by it. It is awesome. So with that being said, ladies and gents, have a great rest of your week, and wish you all my best. And I continue, hopefully I continue to support you in fulfilling on your biggest dreams and your biggest goals. And hopefully you guys are able to go out there and inspire the world with your mission, your vision, and your message. Take care for now. I'll see you next week.